Purple rain, purple. What are we looking at today, Sean?
Today, Dan, we are looking at something new from Izotope, and it's the plasma, which is a flux saturator.
Of course it is. Anyway, let's find out. Is it? Did that last time.
You did.
So, Izotope, there's something I've not heard of for a long time. Denoising and all that sort of malarkey.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of new plugins out, and
Have
this
they?
is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was time we had a look.
It looks kind of Izotope, now you've said it, other than the purple.
The purple is a new thing, yeah. All right, let's get into it, what it is.
Jill Biden wore a purple coat at the Trump inauguration.
Did she?
Yeah, apparently because it was between red and blue. It was the crossing of the...
Very thoughtful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Sean, the Izotope plasma. Let's have a look.
So apparently this adds tube saturation to spectral bins. So it creates bins, areas of your audio spectrum, and adds saturation to them.
Right.
That's its thing.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit, everyone's doing saturation these days.
Are they?
They are. They have been for a while, actually. It's been dragging on.
I hadn't noticed.
People are loving a bit of
I'm
sat.
trying desperately not to use my saturation joke, the market being saturated.
I mean, it was saturated a couple of years ago.
Got a nice thatched roof on the old on Saturation House.
I know where you're coming from.
Sorry, come on. Not allowed to talk bollocks anymore, am I?
Well, no, you are. I've never said you shouldn't talk bollocks, Dan. That's you are the champion of talking bollocks.
I know.
and eyebrows, apparently.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's have a look at it. You've got this big control on the left, which is flux saturate. So that is how much saturation you're adding to the bits that you've told it to saturate. And we do that by using these two locators. So this is your spectrum, 20 to 20 down the bottom. You move these locators into an area that you want to deal with. You then have a attack and release control, and you have an overdrive control, which is separate to the saturation. You then have, I know, it all means the same thing. You then have the option to work on either the mid of that part of the spectrum, or the side of that part of the spectrum, or the whole stereo signal, or, now this is where it gets interesting, the transient or the sustained part of the signal.
Right, okay, well.
So that puts it up a level. It's not a regular saturator. You can deal with the transient on the mid. Do you know what I mean? That's quite cool to be able to do that.
So I've just realised then, this on individual channels. So if on a drum, for example, on a snare with a long ring, you could saturate the long ring on your snare without affecting the actual transient of the snare hit itself.
Yes, you could ignore the initial transient and just focus on the ring, which is right up your street.
Focusing on the ring up my street.
Jesus. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it's able to do.
Worth every penny then.
The other thing which is really interesting, I think, is that the graphic display of the audio is not what you think it is. They call it a difference meter. So it's showing you the difference you're making.
Okay.
What you're changing rather than the overall spectrum, which is kind of interesting way to do things. Did
that feel quite natural when you were working with it? Did it take you a bit to get used to?
I sort of ignored it. I used it because I thought it was a regular spectral, graphic equalizer kind of looking thing, and then you put it where you want it, and yeah, you do notice it's doing some odd things, but it was one of those where I didn't approach this with a hell of a lot of enthusiasm because it's just another saturator, but actually on individual instruments, exactly like you're saying, or maybe on a drum bus or something like that, it does do some pretty cool stuff. Now I'm not saying you can't do this with other saturators. There are other saturators out there that will let you work in mid-side, and there are certainly some that will let you deal with the transients and the sustain. But this is a neat little way of doing it in a easy-to-use plugin. It's not full of features. You're not going to get confused. It doesn't do anything else. It just does that. And the ability to be able to solo it as well is quite nice. To hear what you're doing. You see the delta button up there, you can listen to the delta, which is the difference, what you're doing. So it's taking away anything from the original signal and you're just hearing what you're adding, which is that's that's kind of what you want. So yes, it's interesting.
It does sound quite interesting. Now I could see it being part of a a template that you might work on or something on a drum bus or on a overheads might be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it could be useful for so many things. I mean, saturation's interesting, isn't it? Because it adds harmonics, it makes things sound thicker, sometimes brighter, and it is a useful tool. You can't use it on everything. Everything can't be better than everything else, otherwise everything ends up sounding crap. But
everything can be louder than everything else. That's the way I like to mix.
It can be these days. Unfortunately, we just end up with a brick wall of fucking noise coming at us, and yes, we end up with no dynamics.
And okay, so demo
situation is a full 10 days.
Okay, interesting metric.
Yeah.
Okay. And then once we've demoed it for 10 days,
49 quid.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's a go and getter almost, isn't it?
It is. It's try it for 10 days if you're loving it.
Yeah.
49 quid's not going to,
49 quid's 49
see you
quid.
off, is it? Yeah.
And you're saying they're doing a few other plugins.
Yeah, there's a bunch of others. I mean, Izotope were good, aren't they? They make some very cool, useful tools. It's worth a look. Sometimes people do stick to a brand, and Izotope have got enough stuff that you could definitely work with them.
Very cool. So the Izotope Plasma.
Yes.
Is it shit?
It is not shit. No. Nicht Scheiße.
Nicht Scheiße.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's good. I'm not sure it's one I'm going to buy, but it's definitely in my. I'm not going to delete that just yet. I will see if I feel like there's a session where I could use it. I'll just I'll buy it. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Please remember to like the video. It helps us out a good deal.
It does. You can also subscribe to the channel and become a channel member.
Very good. We've got various social media. Well, we've got one social media account: Instagram, Studio Life 101, and a Patreon.
We do. There's also a plugin top 5. There's all the links for that down there. There's also some courses, a bunch of other stuff.
A website that's worth going to look at.
Yeah, go and check out the website. Always interesting.
Good stuff. Until next time. Sayonara, suckers.
Adios.